Mr. Scott Lucas is a professor of international politics, Clinton Institute, University College Dublin. Professor Lucas, good to see you and welcome. Russia is increasing the intensity of their offensive despite claiming to give talks a chance. What's the message President Putin is trying to prove, especially when Russia is targeting Ukraine's capital of Kyiv?
The Kremlin, including Vladimir Putin, are trying to break the will of Ukraine to continue the resistance of the full-scale invasion, which is now in its 40th month. In the past 2 nights, more than 550 drones have been fired on Ukraine, 83 missiles, almost all of them on civilian areas. At least 25 civilians have been killed, including 3 children in the same family. Why do this? Well, there are a series of reasons. First of all, Russia, despite having an overwhelming advantage on the ground, is still making only gradual gains in eastern Ukraine, in the domestic region. It's not having a breakthrough there. But secondly, and more importantly, the Kremlin is under great pressure to negotiate to end its invasion. Ukraine and its European partners, supported by the international community, are proposing a 30-day unconditional ceasefire. Some Trump administration officials, if not Donald Trump himself, support that ceasefire. And Russia doesn't want a ceasefire because, as Vladimir Putin and the foreign minister Sergei Lavrov have restated in the past week, they want their maximum demands. They want to seize 4 regions of Ukraine, plus the Crimea Peninsula. They want a weak and demilitarized Ukraine with no security guarantees from the West. They want a lifting of sanctions on Russia, and they want the fall of the Zelensky government. In other words, the Kremlin, Vladimir Putin, are invested in carrying out this invasion unless Ukraine surrenders. And these drone and missile attacks are to try to force that surrender because Russia is not actually, they can't find another way to win this.
Professor, let me ask you this. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has urged international leaders to increase their pressure on Russia. He says, actually, that the silence by the United States is encouraging President Putin. But in real sense, even after the much-hyped talk between Trump and Putin, which again did not yield any meaningful result, what can America really do at this point?
Well, I mean, the question of what America can do is what the adults in the room in the Trump administration can do. For example, they could be firmer in demanding that the Kremlin agree to an unconditional ceasefire rather than this charade that the Kremlin goes into talks with Ukraine, which go nowhere, and then maybe a ceasefire will follow far down the road. The United States could step up military assistance to Ukraine. It has lifted the suspension of American military aid to Ukraine that Donald Trump had imposed, but it's still only small amounts of aid. The United States could step up its financial and economic support for Ukraine, and it could join Europe in particular in providing security guarantees for Ukraine, including bolstered air defenses. All of those steps could be taken. The problem is that Donald Trump is unpredictable, he's chaotic, and at the end of the day, he really wants a photo opportunity with Vladimir Putin. So every time the United States moves towards these significant moves, Trump says, wait, let me just talk to Putin, and I'm sure that we can solve this within 24 hours.
All right, Professor, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you very much for talking to us today.
Thank you.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.